All right, guys, this is the last thing that we need to talk about, and we really need to put all of these different pieces of the puzzle that we've been talking about together, right? So we started talking about the big picture of what is American political culture and the fact that those are things that a lot of Americans share or have in common, particularly overarching concepts or ideas that we feel like our representative democracy should try to achieve. And then we talked about political socialization, or the process in which we develop our political culture as well as develop our political ideology. We looked at political ideology, specifically comparing some of those policy issues between the conservative perspective and the liberal perspective, right? But addressing the fact that most Americans aren't pure conservative or pure liberal. They are somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. Okay. Um, and then we looked specifically at public opinion, um, and how we measure public opinion, right? And the fact that government officials can know a lot about, or they can get indirect information about public opinion through things such as what the media is reporting on, um, polling, sorry, not polling, protesting, straw polling, how people vote. But the most direct way is through a scientific methodology of polling, okay, to pull that public opinion, right? And then we talked about, right, how much should, um, right, the opinion of the public matter? I asked you to consider that question the other day, but didn't actually require you to answer it. So coming full circle now to wrap up this unit, right? The question is, in the end, how much do we think public opinion, right? Those views, those values, that ideology of the individual citizens within the United States or the constituents actually influence the policy that is created by our three branches of government. Obviously, most specifically looking at the legislative branch, since they make the law, they're the direct policy-making agent, but all three branches do in fact make policy, right? The executive branch makes policy by its choice to how it influences or enforces things, as well as the fact that the president can issue an executive order. Okay, the judicial branch creates policy when the Supreme Court issues a final opinion. Again, those things are not law, but they are in fact policy. And then obviously, Congress creates policies through the direct lawmaking process. Okay, so when we think about that, we really do have to kind of go back to those initial perspectives that we talked about between the elite versus democratic um, view of representation, right? And who do we think actually has the voice, right? No matter what we think or what we think the founder's intent is, in the end, the people who are actually creating the policy, um, they have the greatest influence, right? Yes, we as constituents can voice our opinion or our views, but in the end, our government officials are the ones that are creating that policy. And right, it's really important to consider, like, they raise the issues, they can frame the issues, they set the norms. But even more importantly, right, typically what research indicates is that those in the elite, those in government office, have a much more consistent as well as much more polarized view um, when it comes to a lot of these important wedge issues that are related to policy. So the people that are making the policy, um, again, have stronger, more polarizing views, more consistent views than your average American citizen. And so that's something that we have to kind of weigh and consider. How do we deal with that? How do we address that? Are we willing to accept that through our form of representation, right? Just lots of little final bits or components that I want you guys to consider as we wrap up this unit. With that, though, that's all we have. Tomorrow we will play a little game of Kahoot, and then we'll get our test on. Have a good one, guys.